did my presentation on kidney disease, and before I start, the reason why I did this because I have an uncle who was recently diagnosed with kidney disease 6 months ago because he drank a lot of alcohol. I'm warning him. Can you listen? Now, what is kidney disease? Kidney disease means kidneys are damaged and they can't filter blood the way they should. And most kidney diseases attack the neurons, and the damage may leave kidneys unable to remove waste. Causes of kidney disease: diabetes, high blood pressure, heart disease, family history, kidney failure, smoking, and abnormal kidney structure. The main cause is smoking, especially cigarettes, and diabetes, high blood pressure. Now, the history of kidney disease. Kidney disease was first discovered and studied in the 1800s by a researcher named Richard Gray. He wrote a book in 1827 called Reports of Medical Cases, which described the features and causes of the disease. And he named the disease by his name, called it Bright disease at first. And for the next 100 years or so throughout history, the term was being used to refer to any type of kidney disease, according to recent studies. Findings and studies led to widespread of testing urine protein, which became one of the first diagnostic tests in medicine. And in the 20th century, another researcher named Homer Smith found the underlying psychology of the kidney, which led to important medical therapies for multiple kidney diseases and other conditions. And why kidney disease and cell communication disorder? Well, the reason why, because cell-to-cell communication in the kidneys are largely mediated by peripheral and auditory signals that act in the extracellular or intracellular regulations. The extracellular regulations in kidneys are active in the single transduction systems, and the growth of the kidneys are affected by the transcriptions and many signaling pathways that are going through extracellular responses. Now, cell communication signal. Cell communication is the ability of cells to receive, process, and transmit signals with its environment and itself. Cells signal each other by direct contact by the release from one cell that is being transmitted by another cell. Cells are multi-cell organisms must communicate with one another to coordinate the activities of the organism as a whole. For many forms of communication entail binding of a signal. Now, throughout the process, cells communicate by chemical signals called ligands. Ligands are molecules that bind with other specific molecules by delivering signals in the cell communication process. They interact with other proteins through target cells, and the target neighboring cells need to have a receptor so ligands can bind with other molecules so they can do messages and communicate with each other. Now, local and long distance signaling cell communication. There's two types of cell communication. Local distance signaling, that means signals act locally between cells that are close together, which are called peripheral cells. And cells make direct contact so they can transmit messages through synaptic and peripheral signaling. And another type of cell communication is called long distance signaling. It is a target cell that acts upon the signaling molecule, and our signals are involved secreting hormones into the bloodstream to travel through circulation to reach target cells that are far away from signaling cells. Now, the signal transduction pathway is like chemical signaling molecules that goes through a three-step process to create a response in the cell. Once the cell receives a signal, it turns into a series of biochemical reactions within the cell. These steps, the three steps are called reception, transduction, and response. First step is called reception. It's a cell that detects a signaling molecule outside the cell. It allows the cells to talk to each other. Signaling cells act as a communicator and ligand attachment to a receptor protein. Now, the second step is called transduction. It's a chemical signal is turned into a form causing a cellular response. A small molecule called silent AMP to boost through cells and makes proteins active. Now the third and final step of signal transduction pathway is called a response. It is a signal that is brought to the target cell by a signaling molecule. And it's a signal triggers a cellular response and extracellular signaling bonds with ligands to create a response. The synapses in kidney disease and the G proteins, the kidney disease goes through a main focus of synaptic receptors. The G proteins linked receptors are the largest and the most diverse group of membrane receptors. It mediates the responses of diversity of signaling molecules, excludes hormones, and the G protein signaling enables the kidney to adapt by controlling cellular responses to various hormones. Now, Charlton needs a link receptor. They use messenger signaling that triggers a cascade in cellular response, and ligands bind with the receptor site and are involved in mediating cellular signaling, communication, control all functions in the kidneys. And the original signal triggers multiple responses within the cell, causing informational responses to the original signal. And the final thing is the protein, they are enzymes that phosphorylate proteins. They are distinguished from each other by intracellular second messengers involved in the regulation and the selective substrates they use. The PKC phosphorylates a wide variety of intracellular target proteins and has multiple cellular functions and regulation. Sorry, this is a little blurry. This is a picture of the genes and the chromosomes that are affected by kidney disease, like chromosomes 4, 6, and 16. And the autosomal receptor trait in chromosomes, they are caused by the mutations in the PKHD1 gene and on the chromosomes. Mutations are scattered all over the place, and most of the specimens are being affected, and they will disappear in the neonatal period, and only a few of them live into adulthood. Now this is another picture how the function of the proteins, how they control the messengers and the kidney disease. And the growth of the kidneys, they are affected by the transcription and the many signaling pathways that are going through. The PKD1 and the PKD2 genes, they go to proteins and enter AMP, and once the signaling enters, it releases regulatory effects on many enzymes and proteins, causing the disease to grow and expand throughout the kidney. Now the symptoms of kidney disease includes itching, fatigue, shortness of breath, loss of appetite, pain on the lower back and side, swelling of the leg, and urinary tract infections. The most common ones are the infection of the urinary and the itching. That's like stage 1. And the symptoms throughout the whole stages, they worsen as the disease goes through multiple stages and how the disease expands to the kidneys. In the treatment, there is no cure, but there are many treatments for the disease. That includes vitamin C, B1, B2, B6, and biotin, high blood pressure medications that lowers blood pressure if it becomes too low or too high, and medications to relieve the swelling from the legs or the back of pain, and low protein diets like reduce the consumption of meat and drinks a lot of water and cranberry juice. Some doctors recommend to drink about 6 to 7 glasses of water a day. And kidney disease affects more than 1 in 10 of the world's population, claiming millions of lives every year. Now see on my board, this is how it looks when kidney disease as it is affected. And this is the genes what genes are affected. And that's it.
Excellent.